Alrighty, so today it's time for a best of 5 series of professional StarCraft 2, where in game number 1, we are starting off on Acropolis LE. Spawning here in the southeast corner of the map, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we're looking inside of the main base of Dream. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones, one of the strongest StarCraft 2 players of all time, we have none other than Sue. Alrighty. So I don't know if Sue really requires any additional introduction. I mean, if you watched any professional SC2 over like the last 8 to 9 years, you'll probably be familiar with this man. He's quite notorious for getting a lot of second places, which kind of sucks for him, but he did recently end up winning IEM Katowice back in March, if I'm not mistaken, for $150,000. That is the first place prize. And despite all of his second place finishes, I think we can all agree that he's one of the most dominant StarCraft 2 players of all time. Even though he might not win as much, if he would have won all of the GSL Codesses that he has been part of in the grand finals, right? I think he would be definitely considered to be the strongest player of all time. Period. Right? It's kind of crazy. I think he's had like 6 or 7 second place finishes at the GSL Codess. I mean, we were freaking out when Maru won a few in a row recently. If he would have won all of them, I think we would all agree Sue would be the best in the world. Right now, though, as it is, he is the current rank 6 on Aligulek. Now, I feel like he's going to be a very tricky opponent for Dream, so I had to scratch my head for a little while as well, and yes, this is the same Dream as the one that we saw playing SC2 professionally back in like 2012 to 2016 or so. Apparently, and I had to have a look at his Aligulek match history as well, other than the games that he played over the last couple of months, he really does not have any professional games logged since early 2017. According to his Liquipedia page, he apparently already did his mandatory military service over in South Korea. He's only 22 years old, so I'm excited to figure out what he is going to bring to the table here and how good he is. Apparently, well, he types SD. Maybe he tried to make a drone. I guess it's hard if you're a Terran. I don't know. With the standard hotkeys. The S is select larva and D is drone. But anyways, he did recently qualify for the GSL code S for Season 3 this year. So he must certainly be a very strong player. As of right now, though, he's the rank 51 on Aligulek, but obviously that's not going to be all too accurate just because he hasn't played nearly as many games recently as, for example, Sue. So let's figure out how good he is. Sue, by the way, one of those players who's really hard to beat and really hard to pinpoint. I feel like that's kind of a theme, especially with the top-level Zerg players. They're just really good at, like, everything. I mean, for example, right, if you ask, like, hey, what makes Cyril so good? It's like, well, he's got great timing, he's got great micro, he's got great scouting information, he's got great, I don't know, aggressive pushes, he knows what build to go for on the right maps, he knows his opponent very well. There's not really one specific weakness, right? And I think that's what Sue probably is going to be looking for in this game as well. He's like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and play reactionary. That's usually how he likes to play in the first place anyway. I'll figure out what you are doing, and then I'll try and respond accordingly. So this Overlord right here will figure out indeed that it's a barracks, into a factory, and then into a starport as well. The gold standard of Terran openers, the 111, this allows you to basically make any unit by like 5.5 minutes. I mean, he could go like Hellions, he could go Siege Tanks. I mean, Siege Tanks pretty uncommon at this point in the game. He could go Battle Cruisers, Liberators, he can do whatever. Looks like the Reaper though will get 1 Zergling kill right there for its troubles, but it's not gonna be quite enough, as this Zergling apparently wants to hang out at the Watchtower and maybe enjoy the sun, maybe the shade as well, underneath these umbrellas. Anyways, it's gonna be a fusion core. I mean, we can look at those umbrellas for a little while longer if you like me to, but let's talk about the fusion core for a little bit. This is something that did fall out of style a little over the last few months. I personally haven't seen it a whole lot on the ladder either, but obviously ever since that big balance overhaul that we saw last November, Battle Cruiser openers are certainly very popular. Maybe not as popular as they once were, but hey, you know what? Considering that Sue decided to go for his first Overlord in this direction, it means obviously that he doesn't have the scouting information in the natural that's required to see this third gas. One of the ways that a lot of Zerg players like to counter this kind of build is just by scouting the third gas, and if you see that, it's kind of a guarantee that it's going to be that super quick aggressive play. Maybe the Zergling though, we'll try and figure out what's going on. Yeah, look at that. The Zergling trying to see if there's maybe a gas taken. That's a big tell. If he sees that, he basically knows that it's gonna be that really aggressive play, but yeah, it's not gonna be the case. It's not gonna be the case. So Battle Cruiser is coming up, and this is gonna be mostly Sue right now in the blind, who decides to just simply play really safely here. He did see, of course, that there was a starport. He knew that the fact, or he knew of the fact that there was a tech lab as well. So he knows that it could be like a Liberator, it could be like a Banshee, which are both really quite common. But now that he sees that they don't show up right now at the 5-minute mark, 5-ish, 10 seconds, I think he already kind of knows that it's going to be a battlecruiser, right? I mean, we can all assume here that Dream is going to be perfect with his early game execution. So the unit that he wants to go for should have already shown up. By the way, it's even going to be the Yamato cannon upgrade too, so that's pretty uncommon. There we go though. Battlecruiser is available. It immediately decides to zap across the map. Drones in the main base not responding just yet, and that's a big deal. Obviously, one of the main improvements that they made to the unit is that it's significantly better because it can move and shoot at the same time. That's a massive deal. A lot of drones are being picked off. A lot of workers are finding their grave over here. And even though I kind of felt like Su should be able to respond to that quite smoothly, right? He didn't really do very much. At the same time, ooh, Hellions managed to move into the third base, and with a little bit of sloppiness here, well, I guess this actually works out decently well for the Zerg after all. That was a disaster in the making, but it turns out to work out decently well. He could have actually lost like another 10 drones, right? Anyways, yeah, in the end though, he still ended up losing a whole lot of workers, 7 drones going down. Battlecruiser apparently is feeling brave though. I don't know if you want to send it back. Keep in mind, it used tactical jump to move across the map. I don't think you want to go ahead and really send it across again. Maybe you repair it up first, right? Might be a little bit better. I guess killing you know what? Killing the Overlord and then jumping the second Battlecruiser across too might be really good. This is a super greedy opener, by the way. Dream right now transitioning towards the double engineering bay and the third command center. So it really doesn't have a whole lot. Scan in the main there confirms, okay, no Mutas. Or no Spire, no real aggression. Let's go ahead and nuke down that Queen and send in the second one of the bad boys. That is gonna be a bunch more drone kills. Wonderful work so far by Dream, gotta be honest with you. The Queens are joining. They have to move to the main base together. Yamato, by the way, does gun down a Queen, or yeah, a Queen in one hit. Gotta be careful though. Okay, well, whoa, it disappeared. My death animations are still kind of bugged. I'm not sure why that is, but I think one of them did end up dying there. The first one, though, said, "So long, sucker, I'm getting out of there." Lol, you got no tactical jump? Too bad. No, he did manage to stay alive, and obviously it's going to be quite helpful. So, good early game here by Dream. Very greedy early game by Dream as well, by the way. Gotta be honest. Can we have a look right now at what Su has seen? So he did see that the additional barracks were added on. So he knows about the fact that this is likely going to be that Marine mid-game. A lot of the Terran players right now like to transition from playing Siege, or rather, from playing Battlecruisers to playing Siege Tanks and Hellions and Cyclones and all that. Gotta say though, like this position here for Dream quite a lot. He's got himself a nice advantage here in the mid-game. And with good bio control, he can certainly build this one up. Love the Widowmine positioning here as well. Keep in mind that creep is going to start dissipating, so he needs to just simply dance back and forth for a little while. The thing is, though, Su is a very experienced player, right? I mean, yeah, he lost a lot of drones, but he's already back up to an advantage. It's kind of the strength of Zerg. Ooh, nice kills there once again. He's trying to set off and detonate those Widowmines. I do think, though, that the Terran player may have overstayed his welcome a little bit, as indeed the Swarm just got together in bigger numbers. And these medevacs will have to get out. Bit of a gamble here as well, going for that long of a stay though, right? Battlecruiser is going to be able to help out here as well, but this is already quite a bit of damage that's being done right now by the Zerg player. The Zerglings and Banelings are rather disposable. Losing Mutas though would kind of suck. How many has he lost? He's lost 4 already. That's quite a lot actually. Yeah, I still don't mind this position at all actually for Dream. Although I do think he overstayed his welcome a little bit. The thing is, Mutas make retreating really hard, right? I feel like if you're going up against Hydraling Bane, you can retreat quite easily when you're a Terran player. But when you're going up to Mutas, or up against Mutas rather, they will counterattack and just chase you down super easily. Good scan once again is going to shut down some of that creep. For some reason, I always find myself getting skeptical whenever I see like players that are considered to be a little bit of like a lesser skill level going up against someone who's, you know, considered to be at the top of the line. It's like, are you sure you want to push into that and try to outplay them in straight up combat? Well, turns out I'm wrong. Dream is doing a phenomenal job so far. I feel like this plays right into the strength of Su, but so far he's having a lot of trouble. Now he's doing an excellent job spreading the creep all over the place. He obviously did secure 4 bases. Right now he's going up towards a 5th hatchery as well. 5th hatch, very, very useful. I don't see a 4th command center landed yet. Would love to see that one moving over here. And then going up towards the planetary fortress. And there we go. Dream is doing exactly that. Keep in mind, because of his greedy opener, he's got himself the engineering bay done with upgrades right now as well. Right at the similar pace of the Zerg, or maybe a little bit slower, but he's going to go 2-2 immediately. Very nice. This is going to put him in a really good mid-game. Love the fact that he's going Widow Mines as well. Widow Mines obviously not so good against, well, maybe Hydralisk-based openers. Really, really good though against Muta-based openers. Ooh, and the Medivacs just barely managed to get home. At the same time, inside of the main base, we see a small little drop dealing some damage too. And we'll see what Dream is gonna look like here a little bit later on. He could go for a really aggressive push right when +2/+2 finishes. That's an important thing to note. He could also decide to just go ahead and play that super late game. Go up to like Ghosts and Liberators and all of that. He needs to be cautious though. I feel like this army is too small. Yeah, okay. Reinforcement Terran units do come in. Love the fact that he decided to add in a Thor as well. There you go. That splash damage, very, very solid. Battlecruiser will be picked off here. Decent amount... Oh, actually, no, it jumped away. Decent amount of spreading, and once again, the Zerg army is deflected. Fighting the Mutaling Bane army on creep is super hard. Fighting it off creep, though, much, much easier, as the links just simply don't run as fast. The Banelings can't connect with the bio nearly as easily. They just don't roll as quickly. And obviously, Zerg also doesn't have that vision, so it's hard to set up surrounds off creep. Love it. Really cool style here by Dream. Adding on Thors is quite clever, since the Mutas have a tendency to stack up. Obviously, the splash damage of those Thorn missiles can absolutely shut them down. And using the Medivacs to boost them forward. Really nicely done. Once again, though, good creep spread, right? I mean, the creep in the center has been pushed back really nicely, but all over the map, there's still a lot of creep. Battlecruiser, man. How many kills? 25 kills! This makes you wonder why not more people do Battlecruiser openers, right? Well, maybe we'll show it in a little bit. Usually the reason why is that you don't want to play too greedy early on. The Zerg players can punish that really hard. And I'm sure that Sue is taking notes. He's like, you know what? You're going freaking Battlecruiser into 3rd CC into double engineering base? I mean, this is a best of 5 series. Battlecruiser, by the way, does die. He's certainly taking notes. If he sees a similar opener from Terran this next couple of games as well, I'm sure he's going to mix it up. Anyways, Thor going, or rather Hive coming up right now for Sue. One thing about going Mutas is that you can go either into Ultralisk, but you can also go into Brute Lords, and obviously the Brute Lords benefit from the same upgrades as the Mutalisk, which is really nice. Good push there. Ooh, look at that. That's a juicy ball of Banelings trying to morph in. They all get cancelled. And I think that Dream might actually be able to push the issue here a little bit. Okay, so he decides to not engage through the center anymore, go for this choke over here instead. Thor's trying to get a lot of damage in, but that is a lot of swarm. Oh, the Banelings hunting for those Marines as well. The Thors do get picked up, but that is still way too much Zerg here to deal with. Sue has been trading decently well here, but right now he's really starting to get a decent trade, right? Like, this is what he was looking for all this time. Fighting off creep with Mutaling Bane, one of the riskiest things to do, but he is making it work somehow, some way. Reinforcing Terran units are coming up. Keep in mind, though, they're falling back right now towards the safety of that planetary fortress. And a planetary, yeah, that's gonna make things a lot easier. They immediately picked up 8 kills there. The Thor will get repaired up once again as well, but it looks like that tempo advantage, right, that Dream had previously is kind of broken right now, and that's really critical. If you're a Zerg player and you're fighting against this, usually it's that parade push that's really hard, right? Like, if you're putting down the creep and you're able to spread it again, you're usually fine. But if Terran is gonna go and parade push straight through the center, life becomes very, very difficult. Keep in mind, he did also find the time and the resources to go up towards the Hive, which means that right now, Adrenal Glands is coming up. We see the +3/+3 research, chitinous plating. There's a lot of upgrades here that are gonna push Sue into the late game. And usually, against parade pushes, that's kind of what Zerg lacks. Usually, if you're going up against relentless assault from the Terran, it's difficult to spend the resources. I mean, this is expensive, right? Going Infestation Pit, Hive, +3/+3, +2 Flyer, and then like Adrenal Glands, Ultra Cavern, and Chitinous. I mean, that's a couple thousand resources you're spending on upgrades that are going to be good in the future. But usually, if you do that too quickly, and Terran is pushing super relentlessly through the center, you just simply can't afford it. Because you'll probably end up losing in the long run. So that's certainly something that is important to point out, I think. Sue did transition at the correct time, and he's still in this game while doing so. If Dream would have pushed a little harder and maybe gotten some better traits, maybe a little bit better micro, he probably would have been able to overwhelm Sue, who was going for a bit of a gamble, but the gamble paid off. +3/+3 though is finishing up right now. On both sides of the map, really. Very cool. Alright, so we're moving into the late game. I'm not really seeing much of a late game transition here from Dream. Starting to make me a little bit worried. Does he know about the chitinous? Or about the ultras? Well, now he knows. Surprise! There it is. Ultralisk obviously very nice when it comes to fighting just straight up Marine Marauder. Yeah, Liberators do immediately start up. I feel like they're a little late though, right? Ideally you get the Liberators going before the Ultras are out. I mean, chitinous is done right now too. It's a big deal. Zerg can counterattack, by the way, on the other side of the map right now with their upgrades. +3 and Adrenal. They're going to be able to bite through those walls very, very easily. Ooh, this is starting to be a lot of damage here for the Zerg though, right? Normally I'm not that big of a fan of the Ultralisk, but this is working out really quite nicely. A couple of the units do end up getting picked off though, and obviously those are expensive losses. Looks like the Bioforce here was split off into a medevac, and they did manage to pick up a hatchery here on the northern section of the map. Mutas though are going to be able to clean that up, but yeah, there's a lot more bases, right? I mean, you knock down one of the heads, and apparently 2 more grow back immediately. Yeah, I feel like that transition right now towards Liberators is a little too late. Right? Zerg has been able to build up those upgrades. Zerg was continuously teching. Dream tried to go for a continuous push. It didn't work. He didn't manage to deal that critical amount of damage. And right now he's going up against the Zerg army that's just simply out-teched, right? It's got better upgrades. And it's just simply better rounded here in general. There's no Liberators, no Ghosts. And that's gonna make stopping this Ultra Ball extremely difficult. The Mutas obviously still helpful as well. The Ultras essentially are forcing out more Marauders, but guess what? That's exactly what Mutalisk would like to fight. And here comes the Swarm. Parade push right now towards the side of the Terran. And even though Su did not have the greatest start in this game, he does obtain the victory here in game number 1. Alrighty, game number 2. We find ourselves on Cyberforest. And actually, Dream decides to apparently switch it up right now and play with the yellow SCVs instead. Pretty sure it was playing red last time, right? I'm like 90% sure. Anyways, I feel like that previous game started off as good as Dream pretty much could have. Right? He got like, I don't know how many drone kills, say like 12 or so with that battle cruiser set in the earlier stages of the game. He almost ended up roasting an entire mineral line worth with the Hellions as well. The thing is, I feel like most of that damage was preventable. Imagine if in that previous game, Su would not have lost any of those early game workers. He would have been in an absolutely phenomenal spot, right? He would have been in a much better position than he was in the end. Now, he still ended up coming out ahead there. After a bit of a troubling early game, he went to the late game in a really smooth fashion. Almost ended up getting overwhelmed there, almost ended up getting tempo pushed there, parade pushed by the Terran, but he prevented that from happening, and then Shivo's Su just simply seemed superior. I feel like, so here's the thing, what kind of surprised me there is the amount of damage that Su took. He knew that there was a starport made by the Terran. He knew that there was also a tech lab out really early on. He saw that with the first Overlords, so he should have expected either a Liberator or a Banshee. The Banshee and the Liberator usually show up at about 5 minutes and 10-ish. The Battlecruiser, however, shows up at about 5:30-ish. I mean, obviously, it can jump across the map. Its production time is significantly longer. Plus, of course, you do need that fusion core as well. But because it can jump, it kind of mitigates some of that travel time. I feel like because Su knew that there was no Liberator, and because he knew that there was no Banshee, he really shouldn't have taken that much damage there in the early game. And if he wouldn't have taken that much damage in the early game, he would have been absolutely phenomenal from start to finish, right? So, yeah, once again, a tough road ahead right here of Dream. Curious to see how this game is going to go, by the way. We aren't this time around on Cyberforest. Cyberforest is a much smaller map. Rush distance from natural to natural is pretty short. Because of that, I think that Su, if he wants to go ahead and play aggressive, he could go ahead and do so. If he expects Dream to play the same build again, we'll have to keep an eye out. Sometimes when players come out of the military service, they have one build they are very comfortable with and one that they're not so comfortable with. Oh, I love it. That was a cheeky one. Did you see that? Su actually wanted that hatchery blocked. He didn't even have the minerals to make a third. He wanted that hatchery blocked. He goes up towards the roach warren, puts the drones back in gas. Cheeky, cheeky. I love that. That's so cool. Right now, the Reaper trying to deal a little bit of damage. This map is not that easy for scouting because you can't jump up into the main base. So a roach push is apparently going to be the name of the game here. Reaper trying to get the final hit. It's not going to happen. The Queen actually gets the final hit. SCV, though, on the hunt. Apparently an eye for an eye. SCV dies. Drone dies as well. Dream YOLOing them in. And actually, bunch of lost mining time there. So... a couple of Zerglings apparently managed to make their way into the main here as well. So this is going to be a more aggressive opener. I think that Sue is assuming here that Dream is going to play the same build. And if that's the case, he should be in a really, really, really good spot. The thing is, because the Battlecruisers come out later, and we'll have to see what happens once the starport finishes. Because the Battlecruiser comes out later than the Banshee, it's not that good to use defensively. Yes, once it's finally out, obviously, it will kill roaches and Zerglings just fine. But it doesn't finish until later. And Fusion Core right now is indeed already on that production tab. So I think this is the example, right, that I would like to give for those of you that are arguing whether or not StarCraft is a strategy game. I've seen people argue that. It's like, well, it's all about tactics and you need to get lucky. It's like, no. This is Sue not playing the matchup, but playing the opponent. He saw a build in that previous game that he knew was too greedy, and right now that means that Dream is going to be forced into a Liberator, which he really wasn't planning on doing. He is forced now to lift up that command center on the low ground, and this is absolutely wonderful for him. Yeah, he's not going to be able to do, like, game-ending damage here, but he's droning. He's now going for the third command, or the third hatchery, not a command center, believe it or not. This is very, very annoying to deal with, and right now Dream is completely thrown off of his build. Now he's got a Liberator. Like, whoop-de-doo, what are you going to do with the Liberator? Are you still going to go for, like, yeah, Tech Lab and then still go Banshees? Or Battlecruisers? Or what do you do? Do you go, I don't know, Advanced Ballistics, get the ranged upgrade on the Liberator? I don't mind that idea, actually. I think Advanced Ballistics would be okay if you already have a Liberator out. But this is a really clever tactical play here by Sue that allows him to be in a really good spot. Now, utilizing that Overlord here as well to provide that high ground vision. Oh! Jackpot there. Managed to snipe the SCV with the Corrosive Bile and force the cancel on the third command center. Once again, by the way, I'm quite surprised that Dream decides to play that greedily, right? I mean, that's a... okay, well, that's a nice hit. His response apparently was immediately to go up towards the third command center. I feel like he's playing a bit too greedy. Little bit too much. Sue, by the way, has been droning up for a while, so he's actually very far ahead right now, economically speaking. Plus, he's got 3 hatches. Whereas his opponent really, well, he's got 2 command centers, I suppose, but he's not going to be able to really mine it for another little while. And this is just clever play here by Sue. Showing us why he's one of the strongest players in the world. Right? I mean, I don't want to use the term one-trick pony. I don't really like that. But I do like to use it whenever I face the same ladder opponents, like 3 games in a row, and they play the exact same build every single time. At some point, you can just counter it, right? And that's exactly what Sue is showing us right here. We'll see if Dream decides to... I mean, it's a best of 5, right? So it's first to 3 points who wins. We'll see if Sue decides to play this kind of build again in the next one. If he assumes that Dream is just going to do the same build 3 games in a row. That'd be kind of rough. Anyways, Liberator does get shut down there. And with that, Sue is in a wonderful position. Look at the income right now. I mean, this is with mules mining, right? He just got himself a whole bunch of mules back up. Still puts Zerg in a phenomenal economical position because these mules are going to run out. And even though the third command center will finish up, this is going to put Dream with his back against the wall. Apparently, though, he decides to once again go for the Battlecruiser. I love it. Really cool stuff. The Battlecruiser just simply very, very nice. Once more, though, we do see the transition not to mech, but to Ward Bio. So, for all intents and purposes, Dream has got the exact same game going that he did last time, except this time around much worse. And he ended up losing that previous one. So... starting to be a little bit worried. He's going more siege tank focus. He might switch it up though and go for like maybe a couple of those, what are they called? Widow mines here in a little bit as well. Obviously the siege tanks were primarily produced out of necessity to fight off those roaches and ravagers. But while finally the natural is being reacquired here, double engineering rate. Dude, Dream, you're playing too greedy. That's too much. I guess you kind of have to, but he's going 3rd CC and then double upgrades again. He's barely got anything. If this would have been an all-out, like, +1 roach speed timing attack, he would be absolutely dead in the water. But anyways, by the time that the 2nd base is acquired, a 4th base is going up. And, yeah, now we have to see whether or not Sue is gonna give away a lead this big. Couple of drones, though, are dying. He apparently did not expect a battlecruiser. Spire, by the way, coming up as well. So that will likely prevent a second battlecruiser from coming out. So just because corruptors are a thing. There we go. The queens should be able to make short work of this. No Yamato cannon this time around either, but still good micro there. Actually, you know what? That's a lot of drones. That's a lot of dead drones. That's a lot of dead queens. Dude, hero battlecruiser with the comeback story. Are you kidding me? That is so much work. He's scanning right now to see if there's a spore crawler that he's being baited into. Oh my god. Dude, that is a battlecruiser that's worth its weight in gold. Siege tanks? Okay, they do get picked off there with the corrosive biles, but I'm looking at this. I don't think there's enough Zerg left over to really go for an all-out assault. He's now forced to either go and, like, push, or maybe go for, like, his queen production once again? My god, dude, that battlecruiser has 17 kills. That's what you get for skipping a spore crawler, though. I really felt like Su was in a really wonderful position. I guess he never saw the tech or about a diffusion core there in the back. And he figured, you know what, I've got like 7 queens. What is one battlecruiser gonna do? Well, apparently, if you don't have all the queens together, you don't have any creep in the main, it's gonna be difficult to get anything done. And yeah, that's a lot of damage there by that one battlecruiser. I like it. One spore crawler, man. One spore crawler and this game would have been completely different. So you know what? I actually don't mind the position here for Dream right now. I mean, if you look at this objectively right at this point, right? There you go, bring it home, yeah. We see 3-base Terran going up against, well, 3-base Zerg with a couple of drones that are 4th right now as well. Mutas, though, do come up, and I think these are mostly unscouted. That hurts a lot. A lot of SCVs going down. Apparently, though, Dream has decided, okay, I'm not going to return. Instead, I'm going to push. There's some really good positions here on that high ground. There you go. The siege tank can shell away really nicely. Mutas, though, are picking up the reinforcing Terran units very easily, and that's a lot of damage. This is now essentially a death push here by Terran. Centrifugal hooks, though, only about halfway done. Maybe like 66%-ish done. Not a good fight! Not a good fight there for the Zerg! Dude, the hero battlecruiser. I can't believe it. What a god. It's now also being used right there to deflect that army. The 3rd base is being evacuated. One spore crawler would have been the changer right there, right? Well, the Mutas, look, you're gonna clean this up eventually. Maybe. I don't know. Not even. 24 kills on that siege tank. 14 on the... Oh, the Terran enemy is getting way too excited from this. What a dirty move. Yeah, no. Here's that battlecruiser again. He's like, surprise, remember me? I'm the hero. I'm the hero that the Terran Dominion needed. Sudo, desperately trying to hold on. He's got about 1 million drones here mining no resources. Oh my god. Dream is actually winning this? He's actually winning this. Oh, that's so dirty. Okay, if you're a Zerg player, please don't write an angry comment about this. It's like, oh my god, Lowko, all Terran needs to do is just like make one battlecruiser and win the game. It's like, no, dude, that was awesome. Su took a bit of a gamble. He didn't realize exactly what was going on. Once again, I feel like he should have known, right? That Liberator was late. It should have been out already. By the time that Roach army was there, it was a responsive Liberator instead, or a reactionary Liberator, but... Oh, what a game. Okay, so that means we're going into game 3 with a 1-1 score. Alrighty. So, one of Su's nicknames is the Angry Zerg. I think the reason for that, I'm not entirely sure, but whenever you see him play at offline events, especially if he loses a game like that previous one, where I really feel like he was playing better, but then he made a slip up and, you know, the battlecruiser came in and it just did so much work. He's called the Angry Zerg, and when you see him play in offline events, he looks like he's just about to kill someone, sometimes. Especially when he loses a game like that. So, even though these games were played online as part of a Limo League, I'll go ahead and actually post a link to their Patreon page down below in the description of the video. They put out awesome tournaments. Back in the day, actually, it was really, really difficult to oh my god, it's gonna be a barracks cheese. What a cheeky one. But back in the day, it was really difficult to get games from Korean pros, just because a lot of the Korean tournaments do not. Oh, what a play! Are you kidding me? Oh, so sick. Even though it was very hard to get your hands on replays, I mean, nowadays it's working out really well. Anyways, even though this is an online event, I'm sure that Su still looks angry. Is what I was gonna say, okay? I mean, I had to go in loops there with my commentary, just because a lot of things were happening, but this is a disaster. If he can finish up this this group of barracks, though, that would make life way better. Oh my god, the RNG. I mean, there's a little bit of RNG luck there. Basically, you cannot... Oh, well, there you go. That's it, right? That's pretty much game. You cannot... Wow. One SCV come to finish the job. Even, like, he needs to finish this one just to make a factory. But basically, it's a little bit of randomness that determines where the SCV is gonna go while building. My god, these are killer drones. So he's got the barracks out. Whoop-de-doo, what are you gonna do now? Make a Reaper? Yeah, this is not good. So knowing Dream though, he's probably gonna go command center, engineering bay, factory, right? I mean, at least from what we've seen so far in these games. He likes to play the more greedy follow-ups. Where do you think Su is gonna take this though? He absolutely shut that down with ease. Must have had a glimpse or something right there with that Overlord. Saw that something was not quite right, sent a couple of these bad boys in, and they just ended up killing it. Reaper though will arrive still a little bit earlier than you normally would expect. Couple of Zerglings should finish up in a sec. Should be able to deflect this pretty easily as well. And obviously this is once again a really good start here for Zerg. Now, it is not to be overestimated though, right? Yeah, he did end up forcing the council on a couple of those barracks. And yeah, he did shut down the strategy. But it's really not that big of an investment. The real kill right here are these 4 SCVs. I feel like that's much better than killing those couple of barracks. Thing is, even when the barracks finishes up over here, you can still use that to climb the tech ladder right there for Terran. Starts up the factory on the top of the ramp. You can still go ahead and just transit. Dude, he does go for another command center. He plays so greedy. That is so greedy. Does Zerg know about it? Well, he's gonna find out right now. Oh no, he's not. Not seeing a starport is a big deal though, but obviously he doesn't know. He doesn't know if it's gonna be like right over here. What a greedy Terran. I guess right now it's kind of necessity because he's in a pretty rough spot. But anyways, it is really easy though when you're a Terran player to really overestimate the disadvantage. I found that at least when I play Terran myself. It's like, oh my god, my cheese got spotted. Better just... I never cheese, obviously. I'm a very honorable player. You guys know that. Whoa. Screw that Overlord in particular. No, I do cheese. And, yeah, it's very easy to overestimate. You're in a terrible spot, but usually it's really not that big of a deal. A couple of Zerglings once again make their way in. The Overlord looking around. It sees another barracks. Doesn't see a starport. And there we go. Third command center will be spotted. And I can imagine right now, Su, the angry Zerg, already a little bit upset from that previous game. May have had a small little smile on his face after he killed those barracks over there. Right now he's like, oh my god, this Terran player. If I would have done anything aggressive, even like a Bane bust, right? Which is not considered to be a very good build at higher level. He would have been super dead. He's got nothing. This Terran player is literally going 3 command center off of 1 Marine, 1 Reaper, and 2 Hellions. I mean, he didn't even have those Hellions when the command center got started. Not a build that you would probably play on the ladder. Maybe it's Dream though, playing really cleverly as well. He's like, you know what? Su's a tough opponent. I've been struggling a little bit. What about I go ahead and just play it really greedy and get that economic edge? There we go. The yellow mining machine drops from the sky. Normally its colors are quite unique, but apparently when you play a yellow Terran, it's not that big of a deal. They don't look nearly as cool. Anyway. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. 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 Okay. Okay, guys. Look. Su's got enough. It's like, you know what? You tricky Terran player. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and make a Nidus Worm. And go ahead and send my units across the map. Hellion though. Feeling brave. Ooh, just checking whether or not a 4th was taken there. Zerglings immediately step up to the job once again. The reason, obviously, why Nidus Worms are really good is because Queens are the best unit in the game, for Zerg at least. And, oh my god. Oh my god, he sees it! Dream! Wake up, dude, you're not dreaming, that's a real worm! Oh, he doesn't see it, he doesn't notice. He's busy microing those Hellions against those Zerglings. And, well, choo-choo, mother lover. Here comes the Zerg. That is a lot of units. Dream's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna try. I'll just GG out right now. Yeah, that is way too much Zerg to deal with. And I think that's Su looking at that 3rd command center and realizing, you know what? If I push within the next couple of minutes, Eventually, that command center is going to be worth its weight in gold, but if you get killed before that happens, it's not going to really do that much for you. And he does end up winning game number 3. Alrighty, so here we go. We have the potential for match point right here for our blue Zerg player. Here's the thing. I don't want to sound mean towards Dream right now, right? But I feel like this is a good example series so far. At the very least, maybe there's going to be something coming up here in a little bit that will show Dream in a bit of a better light. But I feel like this is a great example series of a top-of-the-line player like Su going up against someone who is still in the top, like, 51 of the world, right? He's still a top-level player, I guess. But he's just showcasing us that he's better, right? And I want to say that without sounding mean. I feel like in game number 1 of the series, Su just figured out exactly what his opponent would like to play like. He played greedy. He managed to, obviously, get a good read on the opponent in game number 1. And while it felt like that early game there in that game wasn't very good for him, he did realize exactly the playstyle of the Terran, and he has been playing against that opponent rather than the matchup over these last 2 games. And I kind of feel like he should have probably won game number 2 as well if it wasn't for that one hero battle cruiser. I'm curious to see where he's going to take this one right now. So the thing about Dream's builds is that they are very greedy, right? So he likes to go, at least so far from what we've seen, he likes to go for 3 command centers really quickly and then go for double engineering bay upgrades. This basically means you are holding on with minimal amounts of units and that you'll likely lose to any kind of Zerg aggression in the early game. Now, he knows obviously that Su doesn't really like to play hyper aggressively in the early game, but Su obviously is perfectly capable of going ahead and doing exactly that. I feel like the build here that Dream has been playing so far would probably work really well on the ladder. I don't know how good it would work though against top-of-the-line opponents, because they just sniff it out. I mean, if you're playing best of ones, right, going for a build like that is probably a good idea. When you're playing best of 5s, though, you have to switch it up, right? I mean, Su has just been, once again, he's been playing the opponent, not the race. And, I mean, that's been going very, very well for him so far. Curious to see where he's going to take this game right here. New Repugnancy, a map with relatively short rust distance. So if he wants to, once again, maybe play, like, Roach-focused, he could definitely go ahead and pull that off right here as well. I would like to see Dream mix it up, though. I would like to see Dream maybe playing mech. Like Cyclone Hellion is extremely popular right now for good reason. But at the very least, shift away from that Battlecruiser opener. I think the Battlecruiser opener is good, but it's just too risky. You can play that in like 1 or 2 games in a best of 5. I don't think you want to play it in like every single game. So he's basically been going for a similar build every single game so far, or at least that seems to be his goal. We'll have to see what he does once the starport gets added on. He might even decide to go for a 3rd command center, man. He's been playing greedy. So, the funny thing is, right, I complimented this exact build that Dream is doing when Innovation was doing it a couple of weeks ago, when I commentated his games. And I know some of you might have seen that game as well. The thing is, Innovation was doing a really, really greedy build while following it up with, like, super aggressive, all-out cheese. And it makes him difficult to predict, right? Innovation also has a lot of history against the opponents he likes to play against. That him throwing out a strange build, like him throwing out a curveball, is a smart idea. But playing a strange and greedy build as your default is probably not where you want to take it, once again, if you're playing best of 3s and best of 5s. So I've got a, basically what I'm saying, I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with the strategy that he's playing so far. This Reaper, though, doing a lot of damage, by the way. That's a lot of cancelled. Yeah, there you go. Once again, a couple of cancelled structures. Ooh, Roach Warren coming up. 3rd hatchery was taken this time. He needs probably a 2nd gas. So I think he wants to go for an all-out assault. This time around, he's not even scouting. He's not even bothering scouting. Wow. Do you think it's... No, okay, it's not a fusion core. So that's at least something. He does go for Stimpack, though. So most of the Terran players, if you want to play safe, they would like to go for a Viking into, like, a Banshee. Banshee is really good against Roach pushes. I feel like going for Liberator is an option. But it's difficult to then follow it up with anything else other than like a reactor on the starport. Because it's going to make things... Oh my god, it's going to make things very hard. And once again, this base is also quick. Normally, we see a 3rd hatchery with a standard safe Terran build added on in about 4.5 minutes. This is, once again, about a half minute earlier. And I feel like this build right here that Su is playing is just really clever, right? This is going to work out like a charm. Even going for the Spore Crawler there as well. I don't know if that was just to keep it alive or to try and show, hey, I'm playing super safe, don't worry. Yeah, I think strategically speaking, this game so far has been an advantage for Su. 16 Marine drops, by the way. 2-1-1 openers. Absolutely hard counter this build as well. So it's not like you have to go 1-1-1 in order to counter a Roach push. A 2-1-1 would finish up Stimpack in about 10 seconds from now. And Stimpack obviously would be a straight up counter to this Roach Ravager push. I mean, early on, there's just simply not going to be enough. Zerglings, by the way, used defensively here. They're trying to get the wraparounds. Decently done, but keep in mind, they are mostly just a distraction as the Roaches move across. Now, Dream does finish up the third command center. That's a big deal. But here we go. Now, look at the defense. What is there? Dude, he's going double engineering bay. You're playing too greedy, Dream. I'm sorry, I like this build on the ladder. It just won't work against someone of the caliber of Su. Now, apparently, they are in the same GSL code as group as well in a couple weeks from now. Or I don't know exactly when that's being played, but usually it's being played a couple weeks after the qualifier, which was recently. What is he saying? I can't read Korean, guys. But he's probably a little bit annoyed. It's like, you know what? Are you really doing this again? Yeah! Okay, so crank with the translation. Dream says, are you kidding me? And Su says, you're so greedy. Dude, I've been saying it. Me and Su are on the same page, okay? I'm basically Su now, guys, except I'm much worse. No, but seriously, though, I genuinely think that this Terran build is good, but it's a little bit too greedy. It's good in some of your games, but I don't think you want to play it as your default. Once again, right? So Dream in this final game as well. I mean, it was a different variation of the same strategy. He didn't go Battle Cruiser this time around, but he still played too greedy. If you want to play safe, usually you go 1-1-1, then you go into a Viking, then you add on a Banshee, right? And then you start up the third command center, which starts at about 4:30. And that way you would have the Viking out to shoo away any Overlords that would supply block the Roach player, in this case, and then obviously the Banshee. You make that, and that finishes right around the same time as the Roaches come to your side of the map. You can follow it up with an additional Banshee, and they eventually clean that up. But Dream, I mean, he went Liberator into a third command center, into double engineering bay upgrades. That's just too much. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Thank you very much as well to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. I appreciate the generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile alright, and I will see you once again in the next one.